morning, everybody. How we doing? Sam here, United People's TV. Yeah, I actually am a couple of minutes late today. Sue me. Look, it's the festive period. It's taking me a little bit longer to operate as it stands. How are we all doing? I've already said that. Let's start with repeats at the beginning of this show. This is going to be the last live show of 2023. So let's make sure we all enjoy it together. It's been a cracking year-ish in parts. Anyway, we're going to be speaking about Lisandro Martinez, and yeah, he's on the verge of coming back. And I tell you what, it's my how we've missed him this season. I'll speak about the latest on him. We're going to speak about the January transfer window coming up, and activity is beginning. Obviously, we know about Donny van der Beek and Eintracht Frankfurt, but maybe Hannibal Mejbri could be leaving on loan in January too. The latest on that, and we'll speak about Rafa Varane, Bruno Fernandes. We'll speak about Nottingham Forest coming up, of course, tomorrow at 5:30. Who's here from the member gang? Let's have a quick look. Yvonne, good morning to you. And you're there as always. Basil, Kenny, John. We've got Saeed. We've got Carl. Good morning to you. We've got Jimmy Dean gifting 1 membership. What a way to get started in this show. Yeah, man. Ooh. I'm looking forward to 2024. I seriously am looking forward to 2024. I was hoping this year was going to. Anyway, we'll speak about that a little bit later in the show. T, you're there. Jonesy, Eddie, and Josh, who's on Facebook. Ray Ricks, good morning to you. We've got Chris George. We've got Abdul. We've got Ramalingam, Abbas, and we've got Josie Graydon. Good morning to all of you. And plenty more as well. Josh, I can see you there too. Can I say yesterday was a very interesting night in the Premier League. I think that's a fair way to describe it. David Moyes, did you see what David Moyes' record was? I think yesterday was the first time in 71 Premier League games that David Moyes has won an away game against, I think it's United, City, Arsenal, or Chelsea, or Liverpool. I think it's something like that. It's a bit mad. But West Ham convincingly beating Arsenal. Should be 3-0 as well. They missed a penalty in the last minute. And Brighton absolutely spanking Spurs. I'll take that. A good night for Barclays, as far as United are concerned anyway. Now, of course, we've got Nottingham Forest coming up tomorrow. And if we take a look at the other fixtures around this weekend, you're probably not looking at too many surprise results there, right? You would definitely be back in Chelsea to... Who was it that lost to Newcastle? I think lost to Luton last week, didn't they? United, of course, away at Nottingham Forest, 5:30 on a Saturday. Won't be an easy game. Should be a good game. Hopefully, it's where we get 3 points. City at home to Sheffield United. Liverpool, Newcastle will be an interesting one. But yeah, points gained on Spurs, points gained on Arsenal. Hey, look, I'll be honest. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near Arsenal this season. I think it's going to be hella tough for United to get into the top 4 this year. But there is no sort of like indomitable team in the league this season, is there? Everybody's kind of dropping points in a lot of places where I suppose they wouldn't be expected to drop points. Now, we've had an absolutely diabolical first half to the season, but that win there against Aston Villa, I mean, look, hand on heart, if that performance and if that win can't be the start of something different, I'm not sure what can be, seriously. The amount of times this season that we have come on here as a community and we've been like, oh, let's just see if we can continue that momentum. Let's just see if we can take 1 step forward and then take another step forward and instead of taking 1 step forward and then 2 steps back, which is what we've done all season. After the Chelsea game, after the Brentford game, they're 2 standout ones that I'll remember. We hoped that would be the beginning and something new, the start of part 2 of this season, blah, blah, blah. United need to go there tomorrow night and do the job against Nottingham Forest. And we will finish this live show today with a bit of a chat about this game together. All right. So that should be a good one. Madhouse title charge starts tomorrow. And nobody's going to be saying that. Something that's interesting here, kind of a little bit of a side note, but something I wanted to mention. You would have remember, well, you should do. You will remember that after the Super League announcement was made, Manchester United made a statement, and so did, I think, all the other top 5 clubs, traditional top 6, all released statements saying that there is no interest in joining the Super League. Now, Italian teams are going to get banned from it. Now, Juventus, I think, were a huge advocate of it. I think they may have pulled out eventually. You see, Inter Milan, I don't know whether this news was completely correct. I swear that Inter Milan on the verge of bankruptcy. I think they took out a massive 250 mil loan. They had high interest rates and short repayment terms. I don't think it's worked out for them. So, but yeah, I don't think Italian teams will be joining it either. So knows what this Super League is going to be. If not going to be particularly super, is what I would say, and that's a good thing. And I thought Postecoglou was a second coming. Look, Spurs are undoubtedly a significantly better team under Postecoglou. But isn't it incredible what happens when your players get injured? When you're playing too often, you haven't got time to recover. Man, they got 4-0 it was at some point. Ricky, if I had £1 for every time somebody asked me this question on this channel, we'd be able to buy Man United. I still don't know the answer to it. I probably should research it at some point. But look, can we just have a conversation which I've been wanting to have for a long old time? It really is. It really is bad how important. Maybe no, it's not bad how important Lisandro Martinez is to Manchester United. It's just how much of a different team we look like with and without him. I think the same could be said last year of Casemiro. This year, not so much. I think I really am looking forward. I'll be honest. I really am looking forward to seeing a midfield trio of Casemiro, Kobbie Mainoo, and Bruno. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I think it's far more balanced than anything. Remember at the start of the season, we started with Casemiro, Mount, and Bruno. It was just too aggressive. But Martinez, it's not just the player that we miss in Martinez. You know, undoubtedly, he's the best ball-playing centre-back at our club. He's the player who breaks the lines with those vertical passes through midfield, maybe in towards a centre circle that can really bring us out from the back. It's the whole mentality of Martinez too. Now, speaking in an in-depth interview with Manchester United yesterday, he gave an update on his recovery. It's going well. Very, very well, as far as Martinez is concerned. Lebo saying, all them tabs are giving me anxiety. It really is annoying. StreamYard, some software I use, don't give you the ability to crop the top of your screen. It really, really annoys me because there is no need for any of that to be shown on this screen, but I can't do it with this software. And I've complained to them a few times and they just keep ignoring me. But that's why I'm working on the new software. I know how long I'm taking. But yeah, I'm doing it. Anyway, Martinez was... Do you think Martinez was rushed back when he came back at the start of the season? Or do you think... I think he probably felt like he was strong enough. But truth be told, he wasn't. Martinez, from the first game of the season against Wolves, didn't completely look like Martinez. You know, one of the biggest elements of his game was is his aggression. That's what makes up for his sort of shorter stature, is him being proactive and first to the ball, getting that extra yard in a different way. Steve, you're saying that Martinez is that kind of player, and I think it was probably part of that. You know, when Wayne Rooney was injured and he came back in, even if he wasn't 100% fit, Rooney would tell the physios, Fergie, everybody, man, I feel great, 100%, body's feeling tip top. Even if it wasn't, even if he was at like 80%, he's like, oh, I've got a little bit of a niggle, but I'm not going to let anybody know. It strikes me as that was probably part of the problem with Martinez. I say problem. It's just his mentality. He wants to be in there. He wants to play. And a huge part of why Martinez being missing has been a problem for Manchester United is the mentality that he has. And just the mentality that this team has when he's gone. I love the bloke. I really do. Man crush is still as strong at the end of 2023 as it was at the start of 2023. Absence makes the heart grow fonder? It definitely applies to me and Martinez. Man, we need him back. Martinez back. Casemiro actually playing in midfield, fully fit, alongside Mainu and actually having protection rather than being completely left isolated. Huh? What I'm saying? All I'm saying. Edgewood, you're saying, when is he supposedly back? Do we know? I think we could be looking at Wigan. And it feels like that will be a better game to reintroduce him because as it stands in January, Man United have only got 2 games. We've got Wigan, I think, on the 8th of Jan away in the FA Cup. And then on the 14th, we play Spurs. Of course, if we beat Wigan in the FA Cup, then we'll go into the 4th round, which I think happens the week after. So in January, there are a minimum of 2 games and a maximum of 3, if I'm correct. So Martinez is... Wigan would seem like a more appropriate game to bring him back in rather than the pace and the intensity that would come with playing against Spurs at Old Trafford. But he's going to be back soon, man. And you know something that I think has annoyed... It's annoyed so many of us for so long is just how much so many of these United players, or maybe Premier League players in general, but I don't really care about what's going on in the rest of the Premier League. I'm just talking about United. How much it seems like United players take for granted that they play for Manchester United, that they just deserve it, that they've made it as soon as they've walked in the door. And that's it kind of comes across in the attitude of quite a lot of these players. And then you as a fan, you sit there and go, if I ever got the chance to play for Manchester United, I would never do that and I would play it completely different. And yeah, well, you would as a fan, wouldn't you? If you ever got the chance to play for your club, you would give everything for it. But Martinez has that sort of approach to football in general, not just Manchester United. That's how he approached himself with Ajax. That's how he approaches himself with Argentina. And it's how he approaches and carries himself as a Manchester United player. And it comes across. And I think it's kind of infectious. When he's in the team, I think the other players, it rubs off on them in a good sense. And I think it's a big part of what we've been missing, man. It really is. Sam Man, you're saying that's the mentality of an Argentinian? Well, let's sign more Argentinians then. And what you're saying down there, what was the quote about treating United like the destination rather than the beginning of the journey? And I'd encourage you to go and listen to the full interview. It will put a smile on your face. Certainly put a smile on my face as well. But I cannot wait to have him back. And as he says here, the rehab's been going really, really well. And United will not be rushing this. truth be told, right, I'd be more than happy to wait until the start of February if it means that Martinez is 1,000,000% fit. That there is no risk whatsoever because we've only got 2 FA Cup games and 1 Premier League game in January. We will have more than enough, should have more than enough to be getting past Wigan without the return of Lisandro Martinez. So the only game that I would love to have him back for would be Spurs. But if that means that he's definitely going to be fit for February, March, April, May for the rest of the season, then I'd rather that happened. I'm going to go down there and see what you're saying about Martinez in the comments. Gren, you're saying he should be captain. Don't be surprised if that happens in the future. I think it would have been... I'm going to speak about Bruno a little bit down there towards the end of the show, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the future. Scott, you're saying I agree there's a different mentality to modern players. It's rare to find players who want to give all their all for the badge. Scott, it's like, truth be told, and this is just it is a problem of modern football, and Manchester United as a club enable this more than most clubs. It's just giving too much to players too soon, right? If you're, I don't know, if you're like a 21-year-old coming through and all of a sudden you're on 100 grand a week, you're like, wow, I think I felt like I've kind of made it already. And United have done that like too often over these last few years. It wasn't just the Alexis Sanchez deal that caused all of it. But that's why I will always go back and I will always point towards the Alexis Sanchez transfer as one that has had some of the most lasting negative ripple effects at our club. Because the only reason that we signed Alexis Sanchez was going to be joining Man City and he was going to go and win the Premier League with them. But instead, he just chose to come to Manchester United because he was going to get a bigger pay packet. And then as soon as he walked in the door, his feet were up on the chair, beer in hand, rather than the opposite, which is what you would expect as a fan. Okay, but this is the beginning of it for you. This is where you're going to work hard and graft for it. And it just hadn't happened. And it's happened with so many players at United since. Just players given too much, too soon, and therefore the mentality and the drive to... Because, you know, like if you're in any job in life, right, maybe not everybody, I can't say this for everyone, but for a lot of people, for just a lot of humans, it's the concept of progression. You're chasing that promotion. You're chasing that pay rise. Maybe not chasing is the wrong word, but you always want something to look up to and something to aim towards. And that's how you progress through jobs that you're doing. But if you're a footballer and you're on like 1, 2, 300 grand a week already, what have you got to aim for? I know what you do have to aim for is for titles, for trophies, but some people are driven by their life away from the pitch rather than their life on the pitch. It's interesting. It's part of... It's not just part of modern football. This has been the case with football really forever, I suppose. Just on a more of a micro scale. It's just it's the scales are much bigger now. But Martinez coming back, man. He's more than just a player for our club. He's a symbol of the attitude and approach that we want every single one of our players to have from now on. And we are well aware that if we have a team from a mentality perspective of Lisandro Martinez's, then we've got a chance going forward. That's what we've been missing. Looking forward to it, man. I've been looking forward to it all season long. And yeah, he's on the verge of it. So fingers crossed we get him back maybe for the Spurs game. Maybe that'll be a little bit too soon. And maybe it'll be, if we can beat Wigan in the third round of the FA Cup, it'll be a game after. There's no date on it just yet. But he's not going to be rushed back. he has been doing it slowly this time compared to the first time, and it's good. Now, let me go down here and see what you're saying in the comments. I think we can see Jack. Yes, Jack, you ledge man. Coming in with 5 gifts to end 2023 in just as generous a fashion as we started it here in this community. Michael on Facebook, you're saying, need our spine back. Martinez is the heart of it. Onana, Martinez, Mainu, and Hoyland. So I can get behind. Onana, of course, we're going to be speaking about AFCON very, very shortly because him and Sofian Amrabat are going to be going, but not Hannibal, which is kind of a little bit of a surprise, and I will run through that. Let's talk about another player returning from injury. That's Mason Mount. Mason Mount in training ahead of the game against Forest. Now, he has been missing for, what is it, best part of a month, I think. I think it was a hamstring injury. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was a muscular non-contact injury. And well, we've had them so often this year. It's not just United. It's part of the rigors of being a Premier League player. It's so much more physical and so much more athletic than it was before. And players are simply just getting pushed to their peak on a game-by-game basis. And there's so many games and there's not much rest. That's why so many players, especially when you look at how Spurs play and how United play and how Newcastle play and the similarities in the intensity, it's not surprising to see those 3 teams are ones suffering. But Mason Mount has been, it's been a massive disappointment so far, isn't it? When your team signs a player for 55 million pounds, there is a fair expectation of impact. Pretty much immediate impact. And it's just not been there with Mason Mount so far. At the start of it, that's when we switched to the one single pivot system with 2 aggressive number 8s, and we were just getting played through. And the tactics just weren't working properly. And then he got an injury, I think, after his second week, I believe. After his second week for 5 weeks, I think he was out for. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, he missed a fair chunk after only the first couple of games, and he came back in. And I'll tell you what, I thought he actually started to look a bit more decent. Nothing more than that, but he looked a little bit more settled. And then he got another injury. And now we're on the verge of seeing him coming back from that injury. Now, where do you see Mason Mount from a positional perspective? Where do you see Mason Mount in this team? Because we know what Ten Hag signed him for, right? Ten Hag signed Mason Mount to be an aggressive number 8 to play alongside Bruno Fernandes in front of one number 6. Now, I think Ten Hag got that wrong. Maybe that system could work if you had like an all-purpose, absolute, like Rodri level number 6 midfielder who can cover all that ground on his own and also has the ability to play out from the back. Everything basically depends on that single pivot midfielder. And we haven't got that player yet. And I'm not even sure it would work even if we did have that player. I remember covering all these tactics at the start of the season. I understood the logic of it. I understood the concept of it. I just think the execution of it just hasn't been good enough. Now, I'm going to see what you're saying down here about positionally where you see Mason Mount. If he does come back into this team, where does it go? When he played on the right, he was solid. Put him on the right. Don't think he'll start for a while, says Jack. Rob, you're saying on the right wing. Sandman saying, I've got no idea. Always thought he was brought in to replace Bruno if he was injured or rested. Jonathan, you're saying he's number 8 or out wide, alternative to Ericsson. And you're saying on the right-hand side, I think on paper, his best position is where Bruno Fernandes plays. And therefore, he can't play there. And the thing that Ten Hag cannot do is get rid of the balance in favor of a concept of a system. So Eric, I hope that Eric doesn't go back to thinking, right, okay, so the players are fit again. Let's try this one number 6 and 2 number 8 system again. He's been against West Ham. We did play in that sort of formation where it was Mainu playing deeper and it was McTominay and Bruno in front. Just the balance wasn't there. I don't think we'll ever find a balance of a midfield where you've got Bruno like that. But Bruno who plays like Bruno, you know what he does. He's not somebody who's going to really link up and be that central midfielder who's always there for a pass. However, he will be that number 10 who will be on the end of the pass. And I was going to speak about this a little bit later in the show, actually. I'm going to speak about it now, right? So many people. It still confuses me. The amount of stick that Bruno gets from United fans, right? I know he has his flaws, right? He's a hothead is the wrong way to describe it, but Bruno Fernandes gets so filled up emotionally in a game that he almost plays like a little bit of a fan at times. Like he just makes wrong decisions. He starts shouting at referees. He starts throwing his hands in the air. But from a creative perspective, it is not even close, ladies and gentlemen. The most chances created from open play in the Premier League in 2023. Bruno Fernandes sits atop that list, creating 100 chances. Let's go down the list to find out where the next player is. 71. Let me just go back up that list. The single most creative player in the entire Premier League. City, Liverpool, Arsenal, every single player in the whole league. Bruno Fernandes has created 100 chances, and the closest to him is Mo Salah, creating 29 less chances. Do you know how ridiculous that is? And do you know how ridiculous it is to hear so many United fans just focus on Ten Hag throwing his hands in the air or Ten Hag Ten Hag. Bruno Fernandes moaning and Bruno Fernandes widging. Yeah, it's a damn frustrating part of his game. But if you think I'm taking him out of my team, you're bonkers. You're absolutely bonkers. You have to accommodate Bruno Fernandes in that team because there is no better player with that final pass than Bruno. No player. That's what I mean about Mason Mount, right? No way I'm taking Bruno Fernandes out of my team for Mason Mount. So therefore, where do you fit him in? Therefore, it just looks like a bit of a £55 million squad signing. That's what Mason Mount is kind of shaping up. Like Neil on the podcast said this quite early on. And I think it's pretty fair. I think it's a pretty fair way to describe it. Mason Mount, I don't think will be anything more than a squad signing for Manchester United. And at £55 million, that's a waste of resources. So many of you are arguing about Bruno down there. That's cool, man. Like people are entitled to their opinions on it. I just won't really entertain it. Not with Bruno. I know he throws his arms in the air and there's question marks about whether he should be captain or not. And this and that. Doesn't score enough. Doesn't do this enough. Play Bruno in his best position and keep him there and build that midfield to be balanced and accommodate Bruno Fernandes. And he will create multiple chances for you every single game of football in the Premier League. Every single game. But yeah, Mason Mount is I understood the concept of it at the start of the season. I saw where Ten Hag wanted this team to go. And it hasn't worked. Right? Therefore, I think Mason Mount is going to be... I'm hoping that he can be a good squad. So I think somebody down there saying, oh, Man City have got really expensive squad players. Yeah, they do. But they've built up their starting 11 so much that they then start investing in the team behind it. 55 million, a 55 million pound signing should be a central figure in this team week in, week out. And truth be told, the majority of Manchester United signing, well, the big signings this summer, from an impact perspective, are yet to truly impact and transform this team. Andre Onana was somebody that I really hyped, and I will stand by Onana. I think Onana will, in time, will continue to grow in importance for our club. I think having this man back in the team is really going to help Onana, because still we cannot play out from the back with the ball. We try and we try. And Dalot's dropping inside as an inverted right back and trying to give us that extra midfield presence. And we're trying to play it out from the back with the ball. We're still not doing it. But when Martinez is back, it will make a big difference. Højlund, of course, got his first Premier League goal, but that's his first Premier League goal, and it's now the 29th of December. So he hasn't had the impact we want in the Premier League. Ooh. It's funny, man. It's funny. The revisionism over De Gea has been, quite frankly, hilarious from a lot of United fans. And the fact that De Gea is still sitting there watching daytime TV in the 29th of December will tell you absolutely everything you need to know about De Gea's current stature in top football. You might disagree with that, but that's cool. You do you. Onana's not burnt me. It's simply put, we are still not playing the style of football that Onana was signed for, and he's letting himself down in plenty of other ways. But actually, no, sorry. Let's talk about that now. Actually, I was going to save that for that conversation for a little bit, but let's have this conversation now, because Onana, of course, it's been announced now he is off to AFCON, and so is Sofian Amrabat. So they will both be missing for, I think it's 3 games they miss. I think they're back for February. Is that right? Obviously, depends on how far Cameroon and how far Morocco go in the competition. But Onana will be missing, and therefore something that a lot of United fans have been calling for, right, is going to happen. Bayindir is going to get his opportunity, and I'm excited to see it. I really am excited to see it, because was it from Fenerbahce? Did we sign? I think we signed from Fenerbahce. Anyway, the Turkish goalkeeper has not had a chance, literally not had a chance so far this season for Manchester United. Ten Hag has decided to not rotate his keepers, even in the League Cup games. I remember, I think it was the Crystal Palace game in the League Cup was the one that I think was weirder. I thought that he was going to get an opportunity. But there are murmurs and whispers, right, of this. That Onana, because I tell you what, I think Onana is, we've seen these reports quite a few times, haven't we? That Onana is worried about his place as Manchester United's first choice goalkeeper, because he feels that if he leaves and in January, if Bayindir comes in and absolutely nails it, then Onana fears for his place in coming back into the team. And it's a little bit like when Dean Henderson got the opportunity. I think it was at the end of Solskjaer's last full season before he got sacked. And then Dean Henderson ended up becoming our first choice goalkeeper through form. And then De Gea couldn't get back in the team. And we went into the preseason, and Henderson was basically our number 1 going into the season. And then he got COVID. And then De Gea came back in. And then De Gea never left. And that's when Dean Henderson turned into a bit of a dick. Bayindir's got the opportunity now, man. He has got the opportunity to shine in these next few games. And I hope he does it. I've no idea how good he's going to be for Manchester United. I know why we signed him, and I've watched plenty of him and understand the qualities that he has. Will that translate to the first team at Manchester United? We don't know. Like, people kind of speak about Andre Onana like, that's a lot of people anyway, like he wasn't one of the top 10 goalkeepers in the world last season. Like he didn't play the whole way through into the Champions League final. He was a top-level goalkeeper. He came to Manchester United, and the pressures of being a United player weighed heavy on him because he was just making really odd mistakes. The mistakes I was expecting to see from Onana this season was him being a little bit overconfident with the ball at his feet, playing out from the back, and sometimes forcing himself into situations which he didn't really need to force himself into. And I think the majority of the problems from Onana this season have just been, it's kind of not, schoolboy is the wrong way to describe it. It's like, first of all, it's been about focus and concentration. Then sometimes it's been about technique. And it's just the problems we're having are not the problems I expected. But Onana, an absolute top-level goalkeeper, has struggled with the pressures of playing for Manchester United. All right. So I hope the Bayern is going to be able to cope with them. Because as soon as he comes in, the media are going to be praying that he makes a mistake. Fans of other clubs are going to be hoping that he completely balls us up. And you have to play with that pressure. And fingers crossed he can. Let's see what you're saying down here about Bayindir. Anthony saying, surely Bayindir will be given games now to give him confidence when he's needed in January. That's not how it works, Ant. We've got Onana as our first choice goalkeeper. We've got Forest away. Onana will be starting away at Nottingham Forest. And then when he is needed and called upon, Bayindir will come in. You won't preempt it by dropping Onana a game early. Robert, you're saying if you know score, Sam, if you play for United, everything is highlighted, be it good or bad. And no, truth be told, Robert, if you're a Premier League player, everything is highlighted, good or bad. That's you are playing in the biggest league in the world. The scrutiny will be intense. It's just that when you play for the biggest club in the biggest league in the world, in Manchester United, you will be scrutinized to the nth degree. Now, that's down to Ten Hag, to the other players to be helping Bayern to understand that. But in reality, the only way he's going to truly understand that is when he plays himself. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking for, I think competition for every place is healthy in a football squad. Even if I've got my favorite player in this United squad, I've not really ever hidden it, right? It is Martinez. But does that mean that I wouldn't want Manchester United to have a top quality second choice at left centre back, driving him competitively? No. I want two great players in every single position in my squad. So I hope that come the end of January, Ten Hag's got a genuine problem on his hands, because Bayindir has been phenomenal. Not made a single mistake and looks supremely confident. That's what I hope. And you mentioned it down there. Well, a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And I think somebody please tell me the last time Manchester United in a Premier League played with the same defence 2 games in a row. Whether it's one centre-back dropping out, whether it's Campbell making his debut away at West Ham, whether it's Dalot getting suspended after Liverpool, whether it's Wan-Bissaka getting injured, whether it's Shaw getting injured, whether it's Martinez been injured all season, whether it's Johnny Evans then getting injured after playing well, or whether it's Rafa Varane going in and out every single game. 1, 2, 3, 4, chop, change. That's been Manchester United's defence this season. All season. I actually don't know the last time we played 2 Premier League games with the same back 5. We didn't even do it between bloody West Ham and Villa, did we? Luke Shaw went out with injury. Was that the only change? I think it was Luke Shaw, and then I think it was the only change. It is a factor. It is not the only factor, but it is certainly a contributing factor. And Bayindir will probably have to cope with that as well. But fingers crossed for Bayindir, which will make a big difference, right? He could be playing with him in front of him. Could be. Steve, not denying that at all. That's what I said. The mistakes that I've been seeing from Onana this season are not the sorts of mistakes I expected. Like really self-inflicted. What are you doing? That's just stupid. Sort of mistakes. And that's kind of his own. You know how I'm saying that Ten Hag is a bit of an architect of some of his own problems now with the midfield and what he's been doing. Onana's an architect of a lot of his own problems. But fingers crossed. Binder's going to nail it. What I want to do quickly now is we've got another 20 minutes of the show. If you can, ladies and gents, can you drop a like on the video? It does make a big difference. Is it? This will be the last live show with the festive set. I've enjoyed it. I haven't really enjoyed football that much. I haven't really enjoyed football much at all this season. This season has been a struggle. That's a polite way to put it. But the January transfer window, of course, opens in 2 days' time. So we've had the festive period, then we've had United, thanks very much, announcing the takeover on the 24th at 4 p.m. on Christmas Eve. It's still ridiculous, that is. And then we've now got the end of the festive fixture pile up. We've got Forest tomorrow, which I'll speak about. And then now, in 48 hours' time, the January transfer window opens. It is a busy old time. Of course, by the way, just being reminded down there. Thank you very much for actually reminding me, because I did actually forget. Because I'll be honest, I have no idea what day it is. Isn't it? It happens every year, but it's true. When you get to this period between Christmas Day and New Year, I just forget what day it is. But today is Friday, which means today is map day. So we're going to be bringing up the map a little bit later in the show. One transfer that we know has already happened to kickstart the January transfer window is Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Donny van der Beek is off to Frankfurt. So there's not been an actual official announcement yet, as far as I know. But that will be announced. Van der Beek's off to Frankfurt. I actually think that's a really good loan spell for him. And don't come at me, right? I don't want to have any conversations with anybody in this community in like 6 weeks' time if Van der Beek goes to Frankfurt and scores a couple of goals, and then everybody's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have left Van der Beek. Oh my God, it's such a mistake." No, it wasn't at all. Players can thrive in other environments, and it does not mean that we've made a mistake in the slightest. Good luck to him. Of course, what a lot of people want to see in January is signings, right? I don't know if I would have too much confidence about Manchester United making any significant signings in January. Truth be told, right? I'm very hopeful that we can see Van der Beek, Sancho, Martial leave, and Man United to somehow sign a striker that will make a difference to our team. But I'm a bit surprised me in a nice way, United. But I don't think I'm going to be surprised. I think it would actually depend on players that do leave. And you talk, yeah, mate. Let's not be doing any Donny van der Beek revisionism. All right, if he goes out and he scores a couple of goals at Eintracht Frankfurt, don't come at me with some energy that you should never have left. All right, because you're not going to get a positive response here, not from me anyway. Gangshi, my man, or should I say, Gongshi? And Steve, hey, don't know why I gave a little round of applause with my little stick. I'm only tickling now because everyone's been having a go at me for battering their ears. Legends, both of you. But look, one that I'm surprised about, which could happen, I just found this out from the other day, from Fabrizio Romano. So Hannibal Mejbri, of course, is not going to AFCON with where is it? With Onana and Amrabat. He's not going with Tunisia. And in fact, Hannibal Mejbri might well be going out on loan. Sevilla, Lyon, and Freiburg, the 3 clubs that Romano has named there. I want to know what your opinion on that is. Because for me, it's a little bit of a surprise. I understand it. And this is the thing about, yeah, so Hannibal, if I remember correctly, is 21 now, isn't he? Let's have a look. No, he's 20. When did he turn 21? Oh, turns 21 in a month. But he's at that stage in his career where he's far too good for youth team football. He's not going to be getting guaranteed week in, week out first team football at Manchester United. So he's in that sort of limbo land. It's like kind of what's the right thing to do? Now, he had a really successful loan at Birmingham, I think it was. But he's bigger. He's better. No offense to the Championship, but he's better than the Championship now. And that's why you're seeing Sevilla, Lyon, and Freiburg. Sevilla had a massively... Haven't Sevilla had like 4 or 5 managers already this season? I swear. Lyon, I mean, are they still in the relegation zone in Liga? I think they are. Don't actually know how Freiburg are getting on. Let me see what you're saying about this down here. Sue, you're saying I like Hannibal on the bench. He brings some bite to the midfield when we need it. Ray, you're saying I hope we don't sell him. Top Death Angel saying it's weird considering his contract ends at the end of the season, but you can see down there, talks to extend his deal are underway. So if he was to leave on loan, it will be, I think we've done this before. I can't remember who with, but it was a player that we just signed a contract extension before he went out on loan. I think if he was to leave, that would happen. Hakan, you're saying about the last time that we had the same back five, end of last season games against Wolves and Chelsea. Was that it? Dude, or whatever it is, it's been a long time since we've had a stable back five. And it makes it very difficult to build patterns and consistencies. We've had clean sheets sometimes anyway. Hannibal, I think I would understand a loan. And you kind of mentioned it there. And it has been a little bit weird with Hannibal this season, hasn't it? Because I think it was Burnley away. That was when Ten Hag was... That's when the sort of the whispers and the murmurs and the pressure started with Ten Hag. And I think we won 1-0 and Hannibal put in an absolute shift. He covered more ground than any United player individually in a game. Actually played well. It wasn't just like headless chicken running. It was very good. And I think he started the game after that as well. I think that was against Galatasaray in the Champions League, where he's a little bit of a hothead. That was when him and Casemiro got yellow cards really early on in the game. But then he's kind of not really played that much recently. Now, the reason I'm saying I understand this concept here of Hannibal going out on loan, because I think he needs it. He needs regular first team football. And he's not going to get that at Manchester United, not currently. Whereas we've got Dan Gore, who at the age of 18 is a couple of years behind in terms of development of Hannibal Mejbri. Not necessarily in terms of talent and quality, but just in terms of development and how much he wants to play. So I think you could well see Hannibal going out on loan, playing week in, week out for Sevilla or Lyon or Freiburg or whatever is mentioned there. And then Dan Gore would then take those minutes for Manchester United. And at the stage of his career that he is in, Dan Gore would be very happy with that. Whereas I don't think you could keep Dan Gore happy. No, so I don't think you could keep Hannibal happy with the same amount of minutes as you know what I'm trying to say? Hannibal's at a different level of and point in his career where I think that loan spell suits him more than it would Dan Gore. And I'll be honest, out of the two of them, I don't know. I wonder. There's no point making sort of... yeah, you can do these things. I really like Dan Gore. I do. Both him and Manu, central midfielders in that FA Youth Cup winning team. And I like his all-round game. I think it kind of is a little bit more suited to the balanced approach that I think Ten Hag will be looking for in that midfielder. Whereas Hannibal is a little bit more... I mean, he is aggressive. And that is a key element of his game. But wouldn't surprise me to see Hannibal go on loan and for Dan Gore to then take those minutes from the bench at United. And I don't think it'll necessarily be a bad thing. Both of them are really exciting, young, talented footballers. But Hannibal needs a bit more first team football. And if he signs that contract and he gets an extension before he leaves, then I think that's fine. And he's saying Hannibal's done his time and is more. Yeah, that's what I mean. Hannibal, I think, deserves more game time than Ten Hag will be able to give him in the second half of this season. And therefore, for the individual development of his career, it would be more beneficial to Hannibal on a personal perspective to have a loan spell than it would be for him to watch from the sidelines at United. I think that's kind of the stage they're at. Now, in terms of other things that could be happening in January, Alvaro Fernandes, Alvaro Fernandes falls exactly into that sort of same category as Hannibal. Way too good for youth football. Not quite good enough to be Manchester United's first choice left back. Was behind Luke Shaw, and of course, well, we haven't seen him at any point this season. My God, what happened to Malacia? Seriously, what injury did that dude get? We didn't even know what the injury was going. We were just told at the start of preseason, oh, Malacia suffered an injury. He won't be on the preseason tour. And then the dude's been missing all season. I have no idea what's wrong with him. But anyway, coming into this season, Alvaro Fernandes was third choice. And therefore, a loan spell for him was the better option. But 6 mil. Like, I remember turning my nose up at United getting 1 mil for Zidane Iqbal. It's like, we don't need to sell these players off cheap if we're going to be selling them anyway. Alvaro Fernandes, I think, has had a pretty damn good loan spell at Granada. As far as I know, I've spoken to a few people who have been watching him more regularly than I have. Apparently, knee ligaments for Malacia. I think he had surgery and then had to have more surgery after the surgery didn't work or there was a flare-up. The same way that bloody Martinez had his metatarsal, had surgery, came back, and then had another one. Well, another bit of surgery because the recovery didn't go well. I think the same thing kind of happened with Malacia from on a completely different injury with a knee. I think that might be what happened. But anyway, Alvaro Fernandes. The only reason we would do that and sell Alvaro Fernandes for 6 mil is to try and somehow scrape together some money to spend on someone in January. I think that's the only reason that we would do that. And I think 6 mil is way undervalued, personally. James, you're not a big fan of Delo and Martial then, are you? Please, can we sell Martial in January? If we need to, pay part of his wages. If I don't know, just please. I was done with Martial. I think it was a certain point last season. I was done with Martial, and then this season came along, and it's just like, man, I've checked out at the Martial hotel a while ago. Alex saying if Benfica scouts see something in Fernandes, why are we selling cheap? I don't know. There's no need to sell off Alvaro Fernandes on the cheap, but if he is to leave, then we should be getting good money for him. And then we can reinvest in other players. Now, a player that I really don't personally see leaving in January, just personal opinion. Personal opinion is I don't see Rafa Varane leaving in January. You're seeing Bayern Munich are linked with him. He's getting linked with Saudi clubs as well. I think Rafa Varane absolutely is going to be leaving in the summer. But I don't see him leaving in January because I don't see Manchester United spending the money required on a new right-sided centre-back. Not in January. And I'll tell you what, you know how last summer there was a real clamour for Harry Kane because the amount of available top-level strikers on the market were minimum. Harry Kane, of course, was available, but he was going to be like 100. If he had come to United, it would have been somewhere between like 130, 150 mil. Victor Osimhen was available. And again, we were never going to pay north of 100, 120, 130-ish mil that he was going to cost. Then Højlund was there. There wasn't that many strikers available. Next summer, this summer coming up, sorry, there really are going to be some top-level right-sided centre-backs available. United will not struggle to sign one. It's whether we sign the right one. Whether that is Jean-Claire Todibo from Nice or Jared Branthwaite from Everton or Usman Diomande from Sporting Lisbon, or is it Antonio from Benfica, or Gonzalo Inacio, I think, from Sporting Lisbon, who actually plays as a left centre-back, I think. But there are a lot of top quality right-sided centre-backs that we will sign, and we will get one in the summer. I just don't think it's going to happen in January. And you're talking about Kim. Now, Kim was available, but Man United weren't looking at a right-sided centre-back with any real priority, which, let's be honest, we probably should have been ahead of another number 8 in Mason Mount. But maybe we'll look at Todibo because of the Ratcliffe links now. Maybe, but it just... My prediction, I'm going to be doing a video. Let's see. I'll try and get this video out for New Year's Day. I'll have to prep it in advance, of course. I might do a sort of like January transfer predictions video. Kim is a left-sided centre-back. He plays left side, but he can easily play across both. Anyway, we don't need to speak about Kim's position. Yeah, I'll do like a January transfer predictions video at the start of the month. Of course, I'll be covering everything here on United People's TV. Lots of people talking about Greenwood. Mate, you really think I'm going to be having a conversation about an article that the Sun has popped out and nowhere else? You haven't been on United People's TV enough if you think I'm going to be doing that. Right? You really haven't been here long enough if you think that's worthy of a conversation here on United People's TV. No, I shan't be. I shan't be. That's the most posh thing I've ever said. Saw this yesterday, and I did my video yesterday on the SEC filing that goes to the New York Stock Exchange that had more details about the takeover. We spoke about the Ratcliffe rule, if you want to call it that. It's not a rule in particular. We're just by Ratcliffe, but there's no dividends for 3 years. Ineos already have the final say on any transfers, any signings, anything like that. Ineos are already in control. The drag-along clauses to do with if the Glazers were to receive an offer from anyone for the rest of the shares, and Jim Ratcliffe didn't want to get involved, then he would be dragged along and had to sell his shares. But anyway, this concept here that there's a clause in the takeover that means that publicly the Glazers and Ratcliffe don't speak about each other. The way that they've worded that headline is a bit weird, right? Because I think it's pretty standard in something like this when it comes to like mergers and all that jazz, for both parties to agree to not basically slag each other in public, right? But this just reminded me of this. You remember this, right? When the 9-2 Foundation, Sheikh Jassim, came out with the statement right at the start when they announced their bid to buy Manchester United. And he said, and in the statement, it said that they want to return Manchester United to their former glories. And you remember the response from the Glazers at that point. Like, they got pissed. So many people, and we've all talked about the way to get to the Glazers, the way to hurt the Glazers. And we've always talked about money, haven't we? Don't go to the games. Leave empty seats. Leave empty stadiums. That's the way to get to the Glazers. It almost kind of feels like we might have been doing it wrong the whole time. because they must have, for a set of owners who have been able to ignore fans for so long, anybody who dares try to bruise their ego from a business perspective, like in the business circles, that seems to be what really gets to the Glazers. That seems to be what really pisses them off. Anything that might put them in a truthful, by the way, and negative light in like a business sense, that seems to be what pisses them off the most. Man, they got some seriously fragile egos. As I said, for a set of owners who have been able to ignore us fans for so long, they really don't want to come across as bad to anybody from a business perspective. Weird. Wow, that's really weird. Really, really weird. Anyway, no bad mouthing them. All right, Jim. Jonathan, you're saying it's why we need to protest in the US at the NFL games, and no, I don't think it's about protesting. I just don't think it is. It's about damaging their image, their family image. Speak about how we should be doing like campaigns about how their mall business has completely and utterly failed under their stewardship. That would probably damage their egos more. Anyway, weird. Really, really weird. God, I cannot wait until they're booted out of our club. That is going to be the day of days. We're not quite there yet. And I'm going to be doing a video tomorrow morning that will go out at 10 a.m. and it will be sort of my honest opinion on this Ratcliffe takeover. I did one on the Ten Hag situation when people were started calling for him to be sacked. And it's kind of like a stripped back video. More, it's just me and a notepad and nothing comes up on screen. And it's just my opinion for 10 minutes. And I want to say a few things because so many things are getting thrown at me now. Oh, Sam, you're changing your tone about Ratcliffe. First you wanted the Glazers out. Now you're supporting someone who's pro Glazer. I'm like, dudes, like, give over. But I will address it in that video. All right. Now, last 5-10 minutes of the show here. Let's speak about the game tomorrow. Forest, what do we think? I'm nervous. Yeah, I'm nervous. Was it last year? I think the Marcus Rashford goal. 2023? 2022? Was it 3-0? No. What was it last year at the City Ground? Man United Forest results. I know the Rashford scored. I just can't remember what happened after that. 2-0? No. Oh, was it Rashford who scored in the League Cup game? Ah, it was Anthony. Yeah. I got it. Right, I think we won 2-0. It was Anthony who scored first, and then Diogo Dalot. Was that when he scored a banger? I think it was. What do you think? Oh man, it's at these occasions where United all season long have just flopped. Right, we've got whether it's Brentford, whether it's Chelsea, and a win where you go, that could be a morale boosting win that could see a slight change in direction and form. No. And then the next week, just goes down the pan. We had that win against Villa. Not that it will be meaningless if we lose against Forest, but the only way you get out of the hole, man, is just by continuing to one step at a time. I'm going to be doing my starting 11 video. We'll go at lunchtime today with talking points and the changes. I think there could be changes in this game here. But what's your predictions for it? Let me know in the comments below. I'm not expecting an easy game at all. What's their record at home this season? How do you see home and away records? Nottingham Forest results. I don't know where you can just see home records. Let's have a look at their last few games at home on here. Right. Lost away to Newcastle. Won away at Newcastle. Lost at home to Bournemouth. Lost at home to Spurs. Lost at home to Everton. Lost at home to Brighton. Man, their home form has been crap. Won at home. The last time they won at home was on 5th of November against Villa. Damn. That is a bad run of form. But you know what happens when United comes to town. It's going to be their cup final. What was that? Was it Espirito Santo? Was he in charge for that game? I think he was, wasn't he? Man, I forgot that Chris Wood scored a hat-trick. How do you let Chris Wood score a hat-trick? That's bad. That is bad. Truth be told, if United show up like we did in that second half against Villa, I've got every confidence that United will come away with a result. Every confidence. However, I do not have every confidence that will happen. And down there, you're saying Nuno's always been a bugger for us. I disagree. You remember who played Spurs in their last game under Espirito Santo before he got sacked? That'll be United. We pumped him 3-0, I think. Ronaldo scored that banger. Then he got sacked after that. Not sure how we're going to be able to stop Chris Wood, considering he's an absolute monster, height-wise. It'd be interesting to see how that pans out. Maybe this is a game then that Erik ten Hag will be looking towards the physicality of McTominay to try and add some surety in defence. But if that happens, we'll be less balanced. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to run through my starting 11 in a little bit. What's your predictions? Let me see what you're saying down there. 2-0 win, says Steve. 2-0 win, says Cribs. 3-1 to United, says Christian, sorry. 3-0, says O'Connor. 3-1 win, says Joseph. 2-1 Ahmed. 2-1 Maya. 2-1 Gary. Ooh. I mean, anybody get the Villa prediction right? I didn't. I went for a 2-1. I was close. Both teams scored. And I went by 1, but I got it wrong. It was 3-2 instead of 2-1. Truth, you're calling Villa a fluke. Utterly, utterly, utterly wrong. Villa was a fluke. Dude. You're not helping. You're not leading any conversation with a comment like that. Man United, we might have been 2-0 down that first half. It was 2 ridiculous set pieces. I think we actually had the better football in that first half, let alone the football in the second half. Fluke. Yeah. Yeah, you really win a game like that with just by a complete, just a fluke. Huh. Well. Come on, people. Be better than that. Be better than that in the comments. Be better than that in the comments. Finish on a high, please, United. Finish on a high. And I tell you what, finishing on a high here. Let's finish on a high for the year. That rhymed. Don't know what I'm giving a You let me know where you're watching from, the town and the country. I'll get a few of you added onto the map for the last time, live anyway, in 2023. And it's been awesome, man. And I say this, and I keep saying this. I say this to the whole team, everybody, me and Ronnie and George and Ollie and Miles and Tom and Pat. There's quite a few people involved in United People's TV behind the scenes now. When United are good, and we will be, I can't wait for it. And I'm going to enjoy every single moment of it because we've covered it here throughout. Well, we've been here for a long time now, but we're still not quite where we want to be. And when that rebuild actually truly happens, it is going to be a fun time here on United People's TV. But let's pull the map up here. Let's see if we can get some on. We've got Tommy watching from Virginia Beach in Virginia. Virginia Beach. All right. On you go, sir. Welcome aboard. Let's see what else we got down here. Let's get 5 of you on. Why not? We've got Vince watching from Aurich in Germany. I have no idea what that is. Lower Saxony. There you go. Is that south? I think that's south. Hope I didn't get that wrong. We've got Jack. You're watching from Inverurie. Inverurie. Obliterating that. Inverurie. Aberdeenshire. I've been in Scotland in ages. Right, let's get 2 more onto the map. We've got Lindelof Best watching from Vingeka. Man, I should just not do anything. I should just put it on the map and just say, there you go, you're on. Watching from Sweden. Let's get 1 more on the map here. We've got Scott watching from I can't do a Welsh accent now. I forgot how to do a Welsh accent. Narberth in Wales. Narberth and Difford from Wales. Yes, man. On you go. Ladies and gents, that is the last time that we are going to be live here as a community in 2023. The next live show that we have will be on, let me get my dates up here. We'll be on Tuesday. I won't be here on Monday because it's New Year's Day. And yeah, I'm going to be enjoying my New Year's Eve. So I'll be here later on today with my preview for the Forest game. There'll be a video going out tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. That will be my honest opinion on the whole Ratcliffe takeover. Then, actually, I'll tell you what, maybe there could be a cheeky live show on New Year's Eve, 10 a.m. on Sunday morning after the Forest game. Maybe. Let's find out. But anyway, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Friday. Drop a like on the video. It makes a big difference. Thank you very much, Jonathan. And remember, no drinking. I'm sorry for looking so haggard here. I put that into a group of my mates, and they are now going to they're going to rinse that. They're going to rinse me for that for a long old time. As I said, I've got a thick skin. Luckily, I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. But big up to all of you. I'll give you my prediction in the video. It's going out at lunchtime today. I hope for a better 2024 overall than the 2023. We had the League Cup. We enjoyed it. We had moments. We had games. Beating City. Barcelona, home and away in the Europa knockout. That was a cracking game. But there's been a lot of frustration. Here's to a better 2024 overall. And I'll see you soon.